Alright, welcome back to my channel, ladies and gentlemen. So this is a kind of Archfiend Summon Skull deck profile. So this combines both Archfiends and Summon Skulls together in order to make best use of their power. Right, so to begin with, we're going to start off with the monster lineups. There's 25 monsters in this deck. So there's 44 in total, but there's some cards that you can kind of substitute out. So it kind of depends on your playstyle. I kind of like having this particular build, but it's kind of up to you. So here's the 25 monsters. So we play 2 Summon Skull. So Summon Skull, at 3 could also be pretty decent. At 1 is okay, but you kind of want to float into multiple of them. So the whole idea behind Summon Skull these days is to go into like its synchro or its like fusion or its ritual monster, and then they all float into another Summon Skull. So having 2500 attack is alright. It's not the best, but it's still pretty decent. So 2 Summon Skull, and then for the level 8 lineup, so we've got 3 Archfiend Emperor, so it can pop stuff, right, and we can search it fairly easily. And then also we can recycle Dark Spirits, because we can normal summon it for free, happy days. Then we have 1 Archfiend Empress, so you don't really want to draw into Archfiend Empress, but you can play 2 of it. It's not too bad. So you can search it, you can dump it pretty easily with cards like Void Apocalypse, but the main thing behind this card is that it can protect you, and it can also float into basically any other Archfiend, so any other level 6 or higher Dark Fiend type monster. So that also includes Summon Skull. So quite a nice thing to do is have Archfiend's Manifestation and Archfiend Empress on the field, so they can protect each other basically. So Archfiend's Manifestation, if it dies, goes into a Summon Skull, and if Archfiend Empress dies, it can bring out Manifestation from the graveyard. So it's quite a nice synergy going on there. And Manifestation is automatically 3k attack as well, so it's kind of like having Archfiend Emperor, but you have that extra option. Okay, then we run 2 each of Dark Spirit of Banishment and Dark Spirit of Malice. So these are pretty essential for a deck that uses level 8 Fiend type monsters, right? So Dark Spirit of Malice allows you to summon a level 8 Fiend from the grave if you have basically if an effect is activated. And Dark Spirit of Banishment is basically a battle trap, so whenever they attack, you can send it to the grave, bring out a monster, and then the nice thing about it is it redirects the attack to it and performs damage calculation. All part of the same effect, so they can't actually respond to it with damage step type effects. So like Avramax, for example, can't get its effect. You just go straight into it. Elstral Construct as well. It's one of those ones that's pretty strong, and you go straight over that effect as well. Although, I will say, if your monster gets attacked, Shadow Construct's effect will activate. Then if you use Banishment, you'll bring the monster out, damage calculation will happen, so Construct dies, but then Construct's effect will also resolve and your monster will die as a consequence. So if you bring out Empress, right, you can run over Shadow Construct, then Construct will kill Empress, and then Empress will just replace itself with like Emperor or Manifestation. So you just gotta be smart about it, but you can get over cards that have those types of effects, so it's pretty decent. Then we run 3 Fiendish Rhino Warrior. So Rhino Warrior is just a great Fiend support in general. You can bring it out with Tour Guide, and then you can go into extra plays from there, but it has the ability that it sends a Fiend from the deck to the grave. So you can either send Heiress to bring Emperor or Empress to your hand. Most likely you want to bring something like Call of the Archfiend, because then you can set it and bring more monsters back from the grave. Or you can send Skarm, and Skarm will either search a Dark Spirit if you need it, or it can search a Tour Guide, and that will allow you to go into like Zeus or something later on. So yeah, it's pretty decent. It's also got an on-field effect as well, where your monsters can't be destroyed by battle or card effects. So if you can live with normal summoning Rhino Warrior, that might be some extra protection. You don't really use that, but it's kind of a nice bonus on a level 3 Fiend, Then we have 3 Tour Guides, so what you're going to do is probably bring out Dark Spirit of Banishment or Dark Spirit of Malice, and then from there you go into a card like Cherubini, and then Cherubini sends Rhino Warrior to the grave, which will then send a Archfiend Empress or Archfiend Emperor, and then you will recycle your Dark Spirit back into your hand. Not too bad. Or you could send a Skarm, and then that can search something out. It just kind of depends on what you're doing. Since it's Archfiends, you also have the opportunity to go into Master King Archfiend, which isn't the best Link monster in the world, but it has got 2000 attack, and it can basically enable you to have infinite copies of any Archfiend in your deck. Most notably Archfiend Heiress. So what you want to do, because we run Void Apocalypse in this deck, if you bring out Master King, you can use Void Apocalypse to send an Heiress to the grave, and then Master King Archfiend will recycle it. So for example, I'll discard Rhino Warrior, and then I'll discard Heiress. Master King's effect will activate, and you can recycle either one of those. So if you activate Heiress first, Chainlink 1, and then Chainlink 2 the Master King, you'll get the search, pretty much guaranteed, unless they have a called by, right? They can't ash it because Master King's going to block it. Most likely as well, Master King will send Heiress back into the deck, so next turn you just send it again, you can get another search. It's free real estate. If it goes into your hand, happy days, call the Archfiend fodder, and if it goes onto the field, well, you get another search anyway. So pretty much any solution with Archfiend Heiress is beneficial, but most likely it goes back into the deck, but it's fine because you just dump it anyway. And then so any rank 3s, so like Nightmare Shark for example, attack, go into Zeus. So yeah, it's pretty versatile, pretty decent, may as well run it at 3. Archfiend Heiress, so it searches any Archfiend card, so that's pretty decent. We can search Summon Skull if we need to go into a fusion play. Most likely you want to search for Call of the Archfiend or Archfiend Emperor, so Emperor can normal summon itself, which will allow you to then pop a card, but most likely it will die, and then you recycle your Dark Spirits. That's pretty much what it's there for. Then we've got Scam, so Scam is basically there to search your Dark Spirits, so in the event that you awkwardly send a level 8 Fiend and then a Dark Spirit, at least you can send a Scam instead, then that will search a Dark Spirit into your hand. So you can still play, or you can search for something like Heiress if you've got Call the Archfiend in the hand. So bring that into your hand, then next turn use Call the Archfiend, summon Empress, and then also get a search as a result. Not too bad, not too shabby. Then, so this is kind of completely up to you, but I run 3 Terrifying Toddler of Torment. You could probably run at 2, or try at 0, but it just allows you to extend your plays really. So if you dump it, it will just special summon itself back from the grave, and when it gets flipped up, it can send a Fiend from the deck to the grave. So it's all good stuff. Likely you won't be able to use the flip effect because they'll probably just pop it before it can do that, but it's an extra body. Most likely you're going to dump it super quick with this deck anyway, so that's why I kind of just like having it in there, but it's all up to you. That's the monster lineup, 25 monsters. Not too shabby, basically everything at 3. And then we have the spell and trap card lineup, okay? So we've got 14 spells and 5 traps. So here we've got 3 Polymerization. So Poly allows us to go into Archfiend's Manifestation. Also allows us to go into cards like Starving Venom, if that floats your boat. But it's also a good idea to run the Fusion Trishula, because it just needs 3 monsters, right, with different names, so it's pretty generic. So if you've got, for example, Rhino Warrior, Heiress, and Scam, you just play Polymerization, get rid of all 3, summon Trishula, get Heiress's effect, get Rhino's effect. At the end of the turn, you get Scam's effect. So that sets up your graveyard with, say, an Empress. You can search Call of the Archfiend, for example, into your hand, and then you can bring a Dark Spirit of Banishment. Job done. Or it could be, you know, Terrifying Toddler, or it can be anything else. Basically anything you like is going to trigger the effects, and it's just great. So basically you need to get cards out of your hand, and Poly just allows you to dump them while still giving you a body for free, right? So there you go. Then there's Foolish Burial, so send stuff to the grave. That's basically what we need. The whole core of this deck is to send your Archfiends into the grave, and then you pull them back out again. An Archfiend's Manifestation gives you that extra floating potential as well, and who doesn't like Summon Skull anyway? Then Void Apocalypse, so discard a card, send a Fiend from the deck to the grave. You don't really want to be discarding Heiress because it doesn't get her effect. So you could discard Rhino, send Dark Spirit of Banishment, send Empress, recycle back to your hand. You can do that. Basically any way to get your Fiends into the grave. And it's also a great way to recycle your Dark Spirits as well. So pretty much halfway through the game, most likely your spirits are in the grave. You can just use Void Apocalypse, send a Fiend from your deck, and then that's going to recycle them. So it's alright. Then we play probably one of the most broken cards in the game. It's Falling Down, which is Snatch Still, right? We have Snatch Still in this deck, so let's just run it at 3. Why not? You just need an Archfiend card on your side of the field, a card, so you can play the field spell, right? You can play Call of the Archfiend, and that counts. So you play that, take control of their monster, and for a measly 800 damage in their standby phase, you get to keep it. So that's not too bad at all, is it? And the funniest thing in the world as well is when they have a bunch of crazy powerful monsters and you just take them all. Then we play 3 Fusion Recycling Plant, so you discard a card, bring Poly to your hand, which is pretty good, but it has the added benefit that if you fusion summon, at the end of the turn, you can bring one of the materials back into your hand, so it's pretty decent. So for example, if you've got Emperor and Summon Skull, bring those to the grave, summon Archfiend's Manifestation. At the end of the turn, you'll just recycle Emperor back into your hand, so next turn you can pop something. Or you can use Heiress and Summon Skull. So if you've got Call the Archfiend face down, you can send those to the grave, bring out Manifestation. Heiress will let you search for something. So even if you didn't have Call of the Archfiend face down, you can search for Call of the Archfiend, set it. Fusion Recycling Plant will then bring Heiress back, and then next turn you can summon Skull, send Heiress, and get another search. So that's like 2 3k bodies onto the field, one of which will float. And if you've got a Dark Spirit and Empress in the grave, then you can float for days. So there you go. It's just a nice little extra boost of basically hand advantage. So yeah, that's why I run it at 3. And we also run Archfiend Palabyrinth. So we only run it at 1. It's pretty decent, So you can you can banish monsters and summon stronger versions of them. So for example, if I have Heiress on the field and an Emperor, then I'll just target Emperor, banish Heiress, and then bring out like a full powered Emperor or like an Empress. So that's 2 level 8s on the field, and then I can attack for like crazy damage or something. Their attack gets boosted by 500, so 3500 attack is nothing to smirk at, but mainly I only run it for falling down. So if I've got falling down in my hand and Heiress gets destroyed, I'm probably going to be searching for Archfiend Labyrinth, so then I can at least play it and then steal some stuff. And then for the traps, so we play 3 Fiend Griefing, so this is great. Graveyard Disruption, especially if against Eldritch, just sort of send those back into the deck. So funny, right? Cursed Eldland or something, I don't know, and they send a Eldritch into the grave and then you just kind of mess with their day. So yeah, it's pretty good. And then you can send a Fiend from the deck to the grave, so most likely you can send Empress and then recycle your banishment or something. So that's nice. And then 2 Call of the Archfiend. So you can run it at 1. I've had more success running it at 2, because most likely you'll get some use off of the first one, and then it will probably get destroyed, and then you can just use Heiress to search another one, and then you're pretty much good to go from there. So it gives you another way to bring your monsters back onto the field. So through the Dark Spirits, through Empress, Manifestation, and Call of the Archfiend, you're going to have a pretty strong field presence of just high attack monsters, which is quite good. Alrighty, so for the extra deck, we play a whole myriad of cards, to be honest. So we've got Trishula, like I mentioned. So that's just a generic monster so that you can trigger your hand effects. So sending like Heiress to get a search. And then if you've got Fusion Recycling Plant, you can also bring one of those back into your hand, so it's all good. It's especially important if you've got like a tour guide. So use you summon Trishula, and then tour guide will go back to your hand through the Fusion Recycling Plant. So if you're in that desperate situation, at least it does that. Play Starving Venom, and we play Dragostopelia. You could also run Super Polymerization in this deck, because basically all of your cards are dark, and if they've got something like Dragoon on the field, it's not good at all using that, at least in the side deck. 2 Archfiend's Manifestation, so you do go into it quite a few times, so having 2 is nice. 3 is also okay, but like it's not the main win condition of the deck. So you have Summon Skull in the deck just because it's awesome, and then you have Archfiend's Manifestation, which allows you to float and also revivable by all sorts of cards in your deck, so there you go. And then for the Exceeds, so we have Dante. So that just lets you mill and recycle a Scum, which is alright. We have a Nightmare Shark and 2 Zeus. So Nightmare Shark allows you to attack directly, and then you go into a Zeus, and then you just sort of reset the board. You know, simplify the field state, ladies and gentlemen. And then we have 1 Archfiend's Ascent. So we do have 2 Summon Skull. So in the event that they're both on the field, or an Archfiend's Manifestation, just kind of whack those 2 together, bring out an Ascent. So that allows you to protect itself, so just kind of like this Dingirsu, yeah, so just kind of discard your materials, and then when it finally dies, bring out a Summon Skull. It's kind of rarely used, but it's there in case you kind of need to have one on the field, and if you get him and also Manifestation, then you're kind of laughing, you know. And then Dingirsu, so for the rank 8, so we have Dingirsu to send stuff and also protect all your cards. It's really good, one of the best in my opinion. And then we also have Zombiestein, so if they have Dragoon, go into Zombiestein and attack over it as quick as you can, basically. Basically, our only outs to Dragoon are Archfiend Labyrinth to beef your attacks up, and then we have Zombiestein, and then we also have Zeus. So it's kind of, that's how we're dealing with it. And then because we have rank 8s, we are also going to be running a number 84 Pain Gainer. So you summon, you attack, go into Pain Gainer, and then you go again into 7 Sins, and then you go into Zeus. Then you have multiple materials at your disposal to use Zeus for as long as you like. Then we only play 1 Link monster, and that's Master King Archfiend. So basically sending Heiress to recycle it, basically using Archfiend Heiress all day long. You could also take out an Archfiend's Ascent probably for a Cherubini, or any card really. So the Pain Gainer and 7 Sins, like, they help for Zeus, but they're not essential. So you could take those out, put in a Cherubini or something, and that'll beef it up from there. So that's the whole deck. So if you want to see this deck in action, I've got a pretty good video against Prank Kids that you should check out. I'll throw it in the description, and here it is on the screen as well, so you know what the thumbnail is. The deck has really good floating potential, and that is basically the playstyle of Archfiends, right? So if you like big, beefy fiend type monsters that look cool, like Summon Skull, and you like keeping them on the field for as long as possible, that's basically what the archetype is all about. Kind of similar, I guess, to Unchained, but without all the crazy link shenanigans. It's just focusing on the main deck, bringing out big monsters like Emperor, and then just running over your opponent. So that's what you like. Give this deck a go. There's a few tweaks, like I mentioned, right? You don't have to have something like Terrifying Toddler. You might also want to run cards like Pandemonium. So you have level 8s, level 6s, and level 3s in this deck. So Pandemonium can search out pretty much all the cards that you want. Emperor is really good for Pandemonium. If it gets sent to the grave, you will automatically proc it, and then you get to search whatever you want. So yeah, make sure you check out that Prank Kids video, and if you want to see more Archfiend related duels, reviews, combos, and discussions, then feel free to have a browse, and hit subscribe if you want to see more of this content released in the future, and hit the bell icon so you get notified when the content is uploaded. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you around.